Mic check, 1, 2, 3, 4. Good morning, I'm meteorologist Kevin Bloemberg. Hopping on real quick as you're taking a look at a crash on northbound I-25 just north of Woodman or between Woodman and North Academy. We'll get to our weather forecast at around 7:30, but I wanted to show you this as well. This is causing some big delays on northbound I-25. It's basically backed up all the way down towards Garden of the Gods, taking quite a bit of time out there. We've seen multiple crashes, numerous crashes this morning, even on those main roads, because the roads are quite icy. Noticing here, especially on I-25, most of these crashes happening near or just past bridges. Pretty sure most of these overpasses and bridges are quite icy, and of course that's causing some of these spin outs out there. So again, you're taking a live look at a crash on northbound I-25 between Woodman and Academy. The center and left lanes are blocked. Looks like the exit lane onto North Academy is still open. I see a few trucks driving on through there. Again, multiple crashes around Colorado Springs this morning, but this one is causing the biggest delays right now. It's backed up all the way down towards around Garden of the Gods, so it's probably best to find an alternative route. North Academy would probably be a good alternative here. We'll get to our full weather forecast at about 7:30. We have some more snow to talk about that's coming in later, especially into the day tomorrow and also into the weekend. We have some fire danger later on today. But again, you're taking a live look at a crash that happened on northbound I-25 between Woodman and North Academy. The center and left lanes are blocked. Expect some pretty big delays traveling on through there. Good morning, meteorologist Kevin Bloemberg hopping on real quick again. We will get to a weather forecast in about 12 minutes or so at 7:30, but I wanted to tell you what you're looking at here. This is northbound I-25 between Woodman and North Academy. The right and center lanes are blocked. Looks like the exit lane is now blocked as well. That was open earlier to get onto North Academy. We've seen multiple crashes this morning, especially in northern Colorado Springs. The roads are very icy. We had some snow falling overnight that melted initially, and then it refroze with temperatures below freezing. We still have temperatures below freezing, so especially in northern Colorado Springs, say north of around Garden of the Gods, Austin Bluffs, Barnes, those areas, the roads are very slick out there. Noticing that most of these crashes happening over bridges, overpasses, sort of those areas. Of course, those are the areas that are freezing over first, so use extreme caution if you're going to be out on the roads early this morning. Again, this is a crash on northbound I-25 between Woodman and North Academy. Another one happened just south of the Woodman exit. I believe the exit is closed, or at least the left lane of the exit is closed. So there are some pretty big delays out there. It's backed up basically all the way down towards Garden of the Gods and Fillmore. So some pretty big delays on northbound I-25 because of numerous crashes out there. And again, we've seen lots of crashes this morning, especially in northern Colorado Springs. Many roads very slick and icy out there because of that snow that fell overnight. It melted and then refroze. Those issues, still seeing some of that. Again, we will get to a full weather forecast in about 10 minutes. We also have a cut-in coming up at 7:25 on 11 News. Of course, we'll have more updates on the weather and the traffic coming up there too, so you can tune into that as well. But we'll also have more updates here coming up in about 10 minutes to talk more about fire danger later today and some more snow heading our way into the day tomorrow and Saturday as well. But again, you're right now looking at a crash northbound I-25 that has the center and right lane closed between Woodman and North Academy. You're taking a live look right now at northbound I-25. A crash happened there. Looks like the right lane and the exit lane onto North Academy are closed at this point. This is between Woodman and North Academy. We've seen numerous crashes in northern Colorado Springs. 2 of those on northbound I-25, sort of around the Woodman area. Another one happened just south of the Woodman exit. This one especially causing some very big backups. Slowdowns basically all the way down towards Garden of the Gods and Fillmore. So expect some pretty big delays if you're traveling on through there. It might be a good idea to find an alternative route because traffic is moving through pretty slowly out there. Noticing that all these crashes also on the main roads, mostly happening near bridges. You can see there's a bridge right there. The crash happened just after that. Those bridges, very icy. Bridges and overpasses always freeze first. And I think we're seeing some of that happening right now. We had snow overnight that melted initially and then it refroze as temperatures are still below freezing in Colorado Springs and up in Monument as well. Seeing some more spin outs up there. So please use extreme caution. Many roads are very icy. Take it slow. Again, we've seen numerous crashes around northern Colorado Springs, say north of Garden of the Gods, Austin Bluffs, Barnes, those areas severely impacted by those icy conditions. And as I mentioned, most of these crashes happening near bridges. You can see a bridge right there. Looks like this crash happened sort of on or just after the bridge, and those are especially very icy spots. They freeze over first. So again, please use extreme caution if you're going to be out on the road at any time this morning. I think for the next hour at least, roads will still be icy around Colorado Springs. Really have to wait for that sun to come out and the temperatures to warm up above freezing to get also those side roads snow and ice free later on this morning. All right, good morning. I'm meteorologist Kevin Bloemberg. We're going to talk a little bit more about the weather. Not just those icy conditions that we're seeing out there right now, but I wanted to talk a little bit more about that because it's the morning commute. It's a Wednesday. It's busy out there. Many of you may plan on hitting the road here shortly. And this is, of course, causing some pretty big delays on northbound I-25, but also seeing delays on southbound I-25. That's not even related to a crash. It's just busy traffic and people taking it slow and careful out there. We have some more snow on the way. Probably not for today, though, because today we have something else to worry about, namely fire danger. But then there certainly is more snow on the way later this week and also into the weekend. So, of course, we're going to talk some details about that here now as well. So let's start with today, what we can expect for the rest of our Wednesday. Temperatures are going to be a little bit cooler than where they were over the past few days. Highs for most of us in the 50s, lower 50s in Colorado Springs, near upper 50s in Pueblo, and some mid 50s in Canyon City. A bit cooler in Woodland Park, and the winds are going to be breezy. They will start to pick up later this morning and on into the early afternoon hours. That could produce a few more wind-driven snow showers, I think especially over the higher elevations around the I-25 corridor, the lower elevations down here. We should remain at least mostly dry, but there could still be an isolated shower later on this afternoon. Also out over the eastern and southeastern plains, pretty uniform temperatures, maybe a few lower 60s in there, but that really should be about it. It is going to be a much cooler day than what we saw on some recent days out here, with those temperatures even below average actually for this time of the year. So with those increasing winds, we have another round of high fire danger ahead. Red flag warnings in effect from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. for the southern I-25 corridor and Fremont County. So Pueblo and Canyon City, you guys are included in this. From 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., gusts could be up to 40 miles per hour at times. Humidity is going to drop down into the single digits. So that's going to be a problem. Please make sure to be fire smart for the rest of this Wednesday with those breezy winds and the low humidity. Yesterday we did really well with that high and critical fire danger. Hopefully we can just do that again today. Those winds picking up later on this morning, but especially into the afternoon, gusting 30 to 40 miles per hour. So again, that's elevating that fire danger, drying us out. And at the same time, that's also the driving force behind some of those wind-driven showers over the mountains. So again, there will be some of those later on today. But for the rest of us, things should be dry. This is also that main reason why that humidity is going to be so low with those downsloping westerly winds. Already later on this afternoon and especially into the evening and the overnight, here's the good news. The winds will start to drop pretty quickly. Maybe still some breezy winds out over the eastern plains overnight, but not looking too bad. It will be much quieter for tonight and actually also into the day tomorrow. Now, we still have a few light snow showers out over the far eastern plains, but as soon as those get out of here, plenty of sunshine for the rest of this morning. That's really going to help us out with that icy situation in northern Colorado Springs and up over the Palmer Divide. But there will be a bit more moisture later on this afternoon with increasing cloud cover along the I-25 corridor. A few more wind-driven rain and snow showers west of I-25, but I'm pretty sure they will stay there this time around. But maybe in Woodland Park, there could be a few light snow showers later on. Into the evening, they'll want to completely rule out a stray sprinkle around the Pikes Peak region, but looking mostly dry, and then more moisture will start to move in overnight and into early Thursday morning. At least for right now, it looks like that is going to remain over the high country for the most part, but eventually later on tomorrow morning and into the afternoon, that will start to spread out a bit more towards the east, so impacting the I-70 corridor and also getting closer towards the Pikes Peak region, and especially into tomorrow afternoon, could be some moderate to heavy snowfall at times. So there could be some accumulating snow over the Palmer Divide and also those higher elevations just west of Colorado Springs. So keep that in mind if you have travel plans. This will probably impact the Thursday evening commute as well, with some moderate to heavy snow. Visibility will be poor, might accumulate on the roads as well, pretty similar to what we saw very early this morning. Could be some ice again if some of that snow melts initially and then could start to refreeze again later into the evening as the temperatures drop. So some things to watch, especially into tomorrow afternoon. The good news though, notice how this is not going to be very widespread. It's mostly just going to be some snow showers. The southeastern plains are looking very dry, much of the southern I-25 corridor as well. But still, many of our higher population areas will be impacted by this later into the day tomorrow. Friday will start off dry, but then into the afternoon, another round of snow is going to move in. That one probably going to be more impactful with more widespread snow during the afternoon and the evening hours, continuing overnight and into Saturday morning. That's certainly going to be a day to watch for more widespread snow, accumulating snow possible as well. And then we should be drier for the back half of the weekend and going on into next week. So this is Friday morning. As I mentioned, should be dry, nothing going on just yet. But then by around lunchtime, the first showers will start to show up over the higher elevations. Also some rain already out of the eastern plains. But look how this is going to become more widespread later in the day on Friday, probably right in time for the Friday evening commute. Also, if you have travel plans for the weekend starting on Friday, well, you're going to have to keep a close eye on this, especially if you're traveling into the mountains with some pretty moderate to heavy snow out there. That will continue overnight. Looks like the main focus Friday night into Saturday morning for some heavier snow is going to be further south, maybe over the Palmer Divide as well. Depends a little bit on what the wind is going to do there. But there could be some pretty heavy snow, widespread as well, still continuing Saturday morning. So also if you have travel plans for the weekend on Saturday, keep a very close eye on the weather forecast because the snow will still be there. But the good news, later on into the day, it's going to push out of here pretty quickly. So later in the day, Saturday, things are already looking pretty good. We are expecting multiple inches of accumulation through Saturday afternoon. So again, this will be an impactful event for the next couple of days with snow, maybe some ice. I would mostly be concerned about ice tomorrow though, with increasing snow that will melt initially and that can refreeze overnight into early Friday. I think Friday night and Saturday is mostly going to be snow and accumulating snow, but still, if you do have travel plans over the next couple of days, please keep a very close eye on the weather forecast. Of course, we'll keep you updated here at KKTV. You can download our KKTV 11 weather app. And of course, also stay tuned here on Facebook, and we'll have another show coming up, 11 News at 9, and basically throughout the entire day, of course, we'll make sure to keep you updated here. So here's a look at your 7-day for Colorado Springs. Lots of weather alerts heading your way for the next couple of days with all that snow and the high fire danger for our day today, but then looking much better Sunday and also going on into next week with increasing sunshine and increasing temperatures. And also for Pueblo, Canyon City, and Woodland Park, those rain and snow showers lasting through Saturday, but then the back half of the weekend and also next week looking much better. So any snow that falls will melt away pretty quickly, I think, by Sunday and next week, with those highs reaching back up into the 50s and 60s. All right, so that's what I have for you in terms of your weather forecast. Again, we do have some icy roads. I will show you that here again. Actually, let me pull that up right away. So this is northbound I-25. between Woodman and North Academy. It looks like the right lane is closed and the exit onto North Academy, at least part of it, is closed. Looks like a state trooper is on site there as well, multiple squad cars, at least one vehicle in the barrier as far as I can see. Looks like the one behind that as well. So as I mentioned earlier, we still have some icy spots in northern Colorado Springs, especially say north of Garden of the Gods, Austin Bluffs and Barnes. Those are my main concern areas. And many of these crashes that I've seen so far this morning happen on or just after a bridge or an overpass. You can see that here as well. There's a bridge right there, sort of where that crash happened. So that's a concern for the rest of this morning, basically. As we know, bridges and overpasses ice up first, and we're certainly seeing that. So I think that is certainly a factor in this crash and some other crashes that I've seen so far as well, because most of the main roads are looking pretty decent. It's mostly the side roads that we have to worry about. But some of the main roads do have some issues as well. I would say I-25 between Monument and Denver is a little bit icy in spots, but also maybe a little bit further south, even down towards Northgate and Briargate. And yeah, as you can see, some of those bridges, even a little bit further south, have some ice on them. Highway 83, so that's a sort of parallel of I-25, just east of I-25 from Colorado Springs up towards near Castle Rock, and just east of there, seeing some slower traffic out that way. And we also know that Highway 24 is basically completely covered in snow between, say, Manitou and Woodland Park. We saw a crash on eastbound Highway 24 at Pyramid Mountain Road that is blocked, I believe, the left lane out there. So that's causing delays too if you're traveling into Colorado Springs from Woodland Park early this morning. There might be some delays out that way. So there's lots to watch here if you're hitting the road early on this Wednesday morning. It is 7:41 right now. You may encounter some icy roads, some delays, especially northbound I-25, but you can see the southbound lanes on the left of your screen. That is looking pretty slow as well. I don't think there's a crash related to that or responsible for that slowdown, as far as I know at least. But we have seen numerous crashes on I-25 in this specific area. And especially around the Woodman area, a little bit further south. I believe there was a crash earlier, southbound I-25 near Rock Rimmon, but as far as I know, that one has been cleared. So I think this is just slower traffic, busier traffic that's being slowed down by those icy conditions out there. And certainly the traffic in the northbound lanes, of course, impacted by this crash that has the right lane closed, and also the entrance and exit lane from Woodman and onto North Academy is closed. With that semi-truck out there, at least one vehicle, it seems like, behind that semi that has hit the barrier, it seems like, and then another car behind there that might be involved. So a multi-vehicle crash, it seems like, there on northbound I-25 between Woodman and North Academy, again, causing some pretty big delays early this morning. That's why we want to keep things on here for a little bit longer to keep you updated about that. We know that many roads in northern Colorado Springs are very icy. After snow fell overnight, then it melted initially as the snow came down, and then it started to refreeze again as temperatures dropped below freezing, and they still are below freezing. So especially those bridges and overpasses, you can see a bridge right there. Don't know if that was a factor in the crash, but I would assume that bridge is a bit icy. But all those bridges and overpasses in northern Colorado Springs are a concern, and also many side roads in northern Colorado Springs are a concern, mostly north of Garden of the Gods, Austin Bluffs, Barnes. All those areas are impacted by this, where many of the roads are quite icy. All right, I might keep this stream up a little bit, keep a close eye on some other crashes. If we do have a few more, I can actually check that right now to make sure if there are any more big delays that we know of out there. There was one on North Powers at Barnes, or northbound Powers at Barnes. I was blocking the left lane earlier, and a crash, the ramp from Woodman onto northbound Powers. So yeah, it's not just the I-25 corridor, it's also the Powers corridor. Again, in those northern areas of Colorado Springs, north of Barnes in this case, and in the case of the Powers corridor, that's impacted by icy spots, maybe still some snow on the roads as well. So again, we do have numerous crashes up that way. Northern parts of Colorado Springs are impacted by this because of that snow that melted initially and then it refroze overnight as temperatures dropped below freezing, and we're seeing the impacts of that. And as I mentioned, it's mostly bridges and overpasses. Most of the main roads are fine. I think the majority of the I-25 corridor, at least in Colorado Springs, is looking pretty decent, but as you can see, there's a bridge right there. Probably icy, so that may be a factor of may have been a factor in this crash. I don't know for sure, but that's certainly a concern for at least another hour or, well, I think another hour. I think after that, the sun is already out. Looking at our Cheyenne Mountain Cam right now as well, seeing plenty of sunshine now in Colorado Springs. So that's going to help us out big time with those icy roads. That's going to melt much of that ice later on this morning. So that's good news. But at least for the next half hour to an hour, just make sure to use extreme caution, especially if you're driving in northern Colorado Springs. And also keep in mind, conditions might change pretty rapidly. Which means if you're driving in from southern Colorado Springs, there may not be too many issues out that way. But if you're traveling further north, you may encounter more and more icy spots. So again, that's going to be a big issue. Looks like the through lanes on northbound I-25 there are all open. Now it's just the exit or the on-ramp. It's sort of both there between Woodman and North Academy is still closed, as we still have multiple vehicles out there probably involved in this crash. So traffic will start to move a little bit better, and of course we're getting towards the tail end here of the morning commute, so that's some good news as well, but still seeing some pretty big slowdowns on northbound I-25 as a result of this crash that happened, I would say about an hour ago. At that point, only the left lane was open. Looked like multiple vehicles involved. Now it looks like CSPD has been able to, well, open some of those lanes back after multiple crashes happened there. But still, certainly a concern for sure. Let me see. So the northbound lanes, we just keep reporting on this real quick. Slowdowns basically from North Academy or from this specific crash that you're looking at here. Now all the way back down towards Uinta. So that's about, I would say, 7 or 8 miles of slow traffic. So it's probably best to find an alternative route. I'm not sure exactly what the delays are there, but I would say it's a pretty good amount because the traffic, as you can see there, is backed up for a very, very long time. There's another crash there. I think that's the one that happened earlier. No, those are different cars. So there's another one back there, but those are on the shoulder, so the traffic is not impacted by that too much. Again, this is the city moving those cameras. It's not me doing that. So pretty big delays for sure out there northbound I-25 because of this crash that was probably caused by some icy conditions on I-25. And again, this is causing some pretty big issues. A backup all the way down towards around Uinta. So that's around downtown Colorado Springs. That's a good 7 or 8 miles. So that's a pretty big delay. Again, I'm not exactly sure how big that delay is, but I would say it's at least 15 or 20 minutes. So it's probably a good idea to find a different route. If you want to travel through the Powers corridor, well, I would say don't try that either, because that's looking very slow anywhere north of Carefree and Barnes. Seeing multiple crashes out there too, counting at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in that area. Woodman is very slow as well around the Powers corridor. Powers is also looking very icy. Those northern areas of the Powers corridor. We'll see if I can pull up a live shot from there real quick. It might go black then here for a little second, but might be worth it. Let's see, Powers and Barnes. That might work. We're going to try a couple of shots here. Just trying to show you what's going on in northern Colorado Springs with those icy conditions. Again, northbound I-25 severely impacted by numerous crashes and some icy conditions. This is what I was worried about. Let's see if I can find another one that might give us a good shot at what is going on there, because we're seeing some big slowdowns, not just on northbound I-25, also southbound I-25 actually around the same area, so the Woodman and North Academy area, and then the Powers corridor, northern Powers corridor in both directions as well, north of North Carefree and Barnes, and especially I would say around the Stetson Hills and Dublin areas, but also Research, Woodman, all looking very slow. I'm trying to find a new camera shot from around that area on the Powers corridor, but not all of those cameras are very willing to cooperate most of the time, and it seems like this morning is pretty similar. I'm trying one more, and otherwise I will bring it back to the I-25 camera around Woodman, because that's going to give us the best shot of those big delays out there. Again, we had multiple crashes on on I-25 in both directions, but especially the northbound lane severely impacted. North of around Garden of the Gods, Austin Bluffs, but this backup really going all the way back down towards Uinta, or even further south at this point than Uinta. We're almost back down towards Tejon Street. So basically everywhere around Colorado Springs, those northbound I-25 lanes are looking very slow. Okay, cannot pull up another camera shot, unfortunately, from Powers. As I mentioned, those cameras aren't always willing to cooperate with us. Let's see if I can find another one real quick from I-25 to show you some of the delays out there. Hopefully this will show up pretty quickly. Yeah, this is I-25 at Fillmore, and you can see those slow lanes on the left. Those are the northbound lanes. So yeah, this is all the result of that crash on northbound I-25 between Woodman and North Academy. Very slow traffic, very big delays out there. So again, if you're traveling north coming out of downtown Colorado Springs on this Wednesday morning, I-25 I would say is a no-go. That's going to take you a very, very long time. But also the Powers corridor might actually be worse. Yeah, I'm very sorry that I cannot pull up any cameras from there. But looking at the traffic map here, it's completely red or dark red, so very slow traffic from North Carefree all the way up to Research in both directions, and also just north of Research around, there will be Union, I think. Yep, Union. And towards Interquest, traffic is looking slower as well. So the bottom line here, northern Colorado Springs severely impacted by icy road conditions. Anywhere north of Garden of the Gods, Austin Bluffs, Barnes, all those areas, North Carefree, severely impacted by ice. And even the main roads are dealing with some stuff there. I-25, severe delays. Northbound I-25 basically backed up all the way from North Academy, all the way down to where at least Uinta and Bijou, maybe even already down towards Tejon Street. So very big delays on northbound I-25. Southbound I-25 also seeing some delays around that same area where that crash happened, so around Academy and Woodman. But as you can see here at the I-25 and Fillmore cam, at least the southbound lanes there moving pretty okay. We also know of some pretty big delays on Highway 24 in both directions because of snow and ice covered roads, and Powers is looking like a hot mess as well between North Carefree and Research, also in both directions, also seeing multiple crashes out there. Again, mostly because of ice and mostly because those bridges and overpasses are very icy. All right, I'm going to have to hop off here. We have a cut-in coming up on 11 News at 7:55, so in 3 minutes you can tune into that as well. I'm going to hop off here real quick, and I'm going to bring back the view from I-25 and Woodman. I will keep the stream up because of the big traffic impacts that we are seeing this morning. I will hop back on at around 7:58 or 8 o'clock to keep giving you updates on what the traffic situation is looking like around Colorado Springs on this icy Wednesday morning. Again, it is a bit of a mess, especially in northern parts of Colorado Springs. I'm going to wait for that camera to jump over to I-25 and Woodman. And again, then I will leave you for a little bit, but then at least you have another view of what things are looking like in northern Colorado Springs. Again, this is the view from I-25 around Woodman from a crash that happened earlier between Woodman and North Academy. Good morning, welcome back. Meteorologist Kevin Bloemberg, as we're watching at a black screen right now, but this will come back here shortly. The view from I-25 between Woodman and North Academy, where we saw a crash happen earlier this morning. Let's say about an hour ago, or just over an hour. For a while, just one lane was open. Looks like those lanes are, at least the through lanes, are all back open now, northbound I-25, but still seeing some emergency crews out there. It looks like on that on-ramp and exit ramp between Woodman and North Academy. So that is still causing some issues out there, but it is a bit of a mess out there on the roads for sure in northern Colorado Springs this morning. If you're driving anywhere north of Garden of the Gods, Austin Bluffs, Barnes, those kind of areas, it is very icy out there on the roads. We had snow overnight that melted at first and then it refroze as temperatures dropped below freezing, and they still are below freezing. The good news though, as you can see here too, the sun is out, so that should really help us out, melting some of that snow and ice away. But we've seen many crashes on not just I-25, Powers is a big mess as well, especially between Research and North Carefree. Many crashes out there, many car spin outs. Also just heard some reports of semi-trucks stuck between campus and Rangewood, unable to get up hills. Just an indication of how icy conditions are out there on the roads on this early Wednesday. Again, this is all due to snow that fell overnight. It melted initially and then it refroze as temperatures dropped below freezing. They still are below freezing for many of us in northern Colorado Springs and over towards Monument. That is causing these very big issues. And of course, these crashes are not helping. It's really slowing traffic down. Northbound I-25, that backup goes all the way down from North Academy to around Bijou and Tejon Street and Academy, that's Nevada, excuse me, as well. So all the way down there around downtown, that little loop in I-25. The Powers corridor, the northern part of it is very slow, especially between North Carefree and all the way up to Research. Seeing many crashes out there. We had a crew driving on Powers earlier this morning that looked very snowy and icy. And of course, now that it's the busy hour of this morning, we are seeing some very slow and busy traffic. And of course, that is only causing more issues and are not helping us out here for sure. Keeping an eye on some more crashes that are coming in. There's one as well, westbound Dublin at Sandy Ford, west of Black Forest Road. That's basically also the same area, northern Colorado Springs, as I was talking about. That's a crash. The left and center lanes are closed on westbound Dublin, so that's probably causing some big delays as well. Again, that is just west of Black Forest Road on westbound Dublin. If you're traveling on through there, expect some significant delays. And we also have now a disabled vehicle eastbound Woodman at Campus. That is just off I-25. The left through lane is blocked on through there as well. So again, we have lots of issues traffic-wise out there this morning that we're keeping a close eye on, that we want to keep you updated on, as of course many people are getting ready to head out to work or already on the roads. If you are watching, you know someone who might be impacted by these delays. But I'm going to give them a call and tell them about what things are looking like right now, and if they can maybe find an alternative route. The drive time right now, we just looked at that as well, between South and North Academy, that's only a couple miles. That's going to take you 40 minutes right now on northbound I-25. That's about 3 or 4 times the normal amount. So just an indication of how slow things are moving, even though it looks like this crash is not looking too bad anymore. The through lanes, at least on northbound I-25, are back open, but still those roads are very icy. It's a little bit hard to see maybe, but on those northbound lanes, there is a bridge over there just south of that crash. Not sure if that was a factor, but we know bridges and overpasses freeze first. And I think many of those bridges and overpasses are still frozen over. So that's a big issue that we're seeing on not just the side roads, but also some of the main roads in and around Colorado Springs, really. So not just I-25, but also Powers. Powers has lots of bridges, especially that northbound area that we were talking about earlier, from North Carefree all the way up to Research. That's where this traffic is most impacted along that Powers Boulevard. So that's why, that's where we're seeing many bridges. We have many bridges out that way. I think many of those are still frozen over. So even though those main roads are looking pretty decent for the most part, those bridges and overpasses are a concern for sure. We also have some very slow traffic on Highway 83. That's going from northern Colorado Springs all the way up towards Franktown. It's just east of Castle Rock over in, I think that's Douglas County. And also on I-25, southbound I-25 especially. So driving into Colorado Springs, coming out of Monument, that is looking pretty slow as well. We don't have as many bridges out there, but that's also some areas that saw some more snow early this morning that all melted and then froze over. Temperatures are still below freezing in the Monument area as well. Looks like traffic is starting to look a little bit better northbound I-25, but still some significant delays. See if CDOT has an update on that as well, but usually they don't. They only say a 8-minute delay northbound I-25. I don't think that is accurate. We just had a 40-minute drive and about half an hour delay on northbound I-25. So that may be, it was updated about 20 minutes ago. Well, it looks like traffic is getting a little bit better at least, so that is good. We are seeing some improvement as this crash is being cleared, but still some pretty slow traffic that we are seeing with after this crash that happened on northbound I-25 between Woodman and North Academy. Again, the main concern is ice in northern Colorado Springs, north of Garden of the Gods, Austin Bluffs, and Barnes, north of those roads. That's where we're seeing the biggest issues, not just on the side roads, but also on some of those main roads. I-25 is severely impacted by this. Powers is severely impacted by this, with some much slower traffic in both directions between Barnes and Research. Seeing many crashes out there. We know there are many bridges on that part of the Powers Boulevard. Lots of up and down as well. And already heard some reports of semis unable to get up hills around Woodman and Campus, Rangewood. So that's just off I-25, also in that same area of concern. So definitely a bad morning to be out on the road. You're going to have to give yourself a lot of extra time to get to work. If you're about to get ready to head out the door, again, please give yourself lots of extra time. Now watching a crash as well, but this is probably not related to ice. This is further south around the airport, Highway 24. Well, since we're on Facebook, I might give you this information anyway. Westbound Highway 24. Let me double check. This is at Peterson Boulevard, or just west of Peterson Boulevard. That's creating some delays as well, backed up pretty much towards Mark Scheffel. So that's a bit of a delay as well, but that's probably not related to ice conditions. Certainly seeing very icy stuff in northern Colorado Springs. Again, north of Garden of the Gods, Austin Bluffs, and Barnes. Those are the big areas of concern. So if you're driving in from southern Colorado Springs, you may think, oh, the roads are looking pretty good out here. Well, the further north you go, the icier the conditions will be. And even on those main roads, those bridges and overpasses are a concern. Again, it's a bit hard to see here, but just south of that crash, you can see a bridge or an overpass. And I'm not sure if that was a factor in the crash, but it could have been, because we know bridges and overpasses ice up very quickly. And I'm certainly sure that that is the case in many bridges and overpasses out there. When I drove in this morning, I take the Briargate Boulevard entrance onto southbound I-25. If you're unfamiliar with that, that's a very big loop coming out of sort of westbound Briargate and then onto southbound I-25. I could only do about 20 or 25 miles per hour, and there's a little bridge in that part as well. That was very icy, even with those kind of speeds. So that's definitely a concern. Even though the sun is out, of course, that sunshine is going to help us over the next couple of hours. Conditions will improve very quickly, I think already over the next half hour or so. But at least for now, still seeing very icy conditions in northern Colorado Springs. Again, mostly north of Garden of the Gods, Austin Bluffs, and Barnes. Those are the most impacted areas here. So that is I-25, Nevada, Academy, all those areas, Union, Powers, Mark Scheffel, All of those roads in northern Colorado Springs are impacted, and we're seeing many crashes out there. Just mentioned Mark Scheffel, seeing another report out there on Mark Scheffel that is, it doesn't say if it's north or south bound, but it is just south of Stetson Hills and Huber Road. So also out there, things are looking very icy, very slow. I mentioned the crashes earlier on Dublin near Black Forest Road. The center and right lanes are closed, just west of Black Forest Road, that is, on eastbound Dublin. So some delays out there too. So it's not just the main roads, like you're looking at I-25, and I've been talking about the Powers Boulevard a lot as well, because that one appears to be severely impacted. But it's basically every road in northern Colorado Springs, north of that corridor that I've been mentioning, Garden of the Gods, Austin Bluffs, and Barnes. All those areas are looking very slow. Any big north-south road that you have out there, so it's Mark Scheffel, Powers, Union. What else do we have there? I-25, of course, Austin Bluffs itself, Academy, Nevada. All those roads are severely impacted by all those icy conditions that we have out there. Interquest, Briargate, don't forget about those kind of roads. They are looking pretty slow. Research, so we have lots of those kind of roads up there. Northgate Boulevard, of course, is a bit slow too because of the icy conditions. Voyager Parkway, any of those roads are looking very slow because of those icy conditions that we have out there. So we've been watching at that crash that happened on northbound I-25 between Woodman and North Academy. It's black for now, but it will come back here, don't worry. Still very big delays on northbound I-25. It still looks like it's stretching all the way down towards Highway 24. Or around Bijou, Uinta, those areas. That's a good 6 or 7 miles at this point, and I'm pretty sure CDOT only gives you an 8-minute delay. I'm pretty sure it is a bit more than that. We just had a 40-minute drive time between South and North Academy. That may be a bit overdone at this point, but it is still looking very slow. So I would say at this point, like a 15 to 20-minute delay, probably very realistic on northbound I-25 between Highway 24 and North Academy, where the traffic is still looking slow. The city has moved the Woodman camera towards the south, where there's also some vehicles out there on the shoulder, so at least it's not impacting traffic. But it looks like the left lane of the Woodman exit is closed coming off of northbound I-25 because of this crash. If it is a crash, could be a disabled vehicle as well. But anyway, they are on the shoulder there, blocking that left lane onto the Woodman exit from northbound I-25, excuse me. And again, we have so many crashes out there because of these icy conditions, not just I-25 or Powers, but also some of the other side roads. Seeing many reports of crashes on Dublin east of Powers. So between Powers and Mark Scheffel. A crash on Mark Scheffel itself, just south of Stetson Hills. Not sure if that's north or southbound, but there's no barrier in between those roads. So could just be blocking the entire road, or at least part of it, in either direction. And also reports of semis stuck on hills near Woodman and Campus. Rangewood, I believe that's a little bit further north. And there's a little dip in the road there as well. And yeah, we know that especially the bridges and overpasses appear to be severely impacted by all of this that has been going on here this morning. I think this crash on northbound I-25, not this one, but the one that we were looking at earlier, just north of what we're looking at right now, was probably caused by a bridge that was near that crash, because you can see here I-25 itself looks pretty decent, especially now that the sun is out, but some of those bridges probably still looking quite icy, and that's probably also why the Powers corridor is so severely impacted, because there are so many bridges on that part of the Powers corridor. We're talking areas between Research and North Carefree in both directions that traffic is looking very slow, with multiple crashes in that area as well. Looking here real quick, rollover accident. Okay, so this is one I was talking about earlier. The crash on westbound Highway 24. That appears to be a rollover crash near Platt and Peterson. That's on westbound Platt or Highway 24 coming into Colorado Springs. So there will be some delays out there. And apparently there's now a crash northbound I-25 north of Fillmore. We have a camera there. Let's see if we can pull that up as well, if I can select the correct tab. No guarantee that it is actually shown on the camera, but it's worth a try. So again, watching multiple crashes with all these icy conditions in northern Colorado Springs. The main areas of concern are basically any road, small and big, north of Garden of the Gods, Austin Bluffs, and Barnes. All those areas have some icy conditions because snow that fell overnight melted initially and then refroze later as temperatures slipped below freezing. And we still have widespread temperatures below freezing around Colorado Springs and up towards Monument as well. So those are all things to be concerned about here, at least for the next half hour. But as you can see, the sun is out. That's really going to do wonders to those road conditions. It will help us out with those icy conditions later on. As I mentioned, probably already in the next half hour or so, those conditions should improve. But I think many of these crashes that we have seen out there probably caused by some icy bridges and overpasses, as we see so very often. Not seeing a crash on this view. We're still looking south. Unfortunately, so no picture of that crash on northbound I-25 near Fillmore. There's a bridge there too. I mean, going over Fillmore. No, that's not right. That's not a bridge. It's an underpass. So that may not be related to a bridge out there. But as you can see, those northbound lanes, those are the lanes on the left of your screen, very slow. That is all still caused by that crash that happened between Woodman and North Academy, as traffic is still moving very slowly on through there. So yeah, there's reportedly a crash on northbound I-25 north of Fillmore, but we cannot get any visuals of that, unfortunately. But it probably has some impacts on the slowdowns out there too. There is a separate slowdown indeed around that same area, so that's probably causing some of that at least. So yeah, just multiple slowdowns on northbound I-25, pretty much from North Academy all the way back down towards around South Academy. That should probably take you about 20 minutes extra, like on top of what it would normally take you to drive north from downtown Colorado Springs, so about a 35-minute drive. This is the view from the pedestrian bridge between Uinta and Bijou. Let's see if it starts moving, if there's some slow traffic in there. Yeah, it looks like it. There's some vehicles on the shoulder. Maybe even some vehicles in the grass beside the roads. There's no bridge there, at least not on I-25. And it is not as icy out there. But you can see those northbound lanes looking slow for sure. Those are the lanes that we're looking at directly, sort of where the snowplow is down here. So there could be some issues out there. I'm not exactly sure what we're looking at there out in the distance. It looks like there are some vehicles in the grass, but I'm not sure if that's related. Well, maybe a vehicle, that on-ramp, of course, there's an on-ramp there from, I think that would be Bijou. That could be icy for sure. So maybe a vehicle swung off there and ended up in the grass. It could be a problem there that we're looking at. It's just a big story here this morning. It is icy on the roads. If this is caused by ice, if there's like a crash of a spin-off car there because of icy conditions, that would surprise me, because down south it's less icy for sure. But there could definitely be something going on there. Yeah, that should be Bijou, coming off of Bijou, getting onto I-25. But I'm not seeing any mention of a crash there just yet. So I can confirm if something happened there or not, or if it's just some other kind of police activity that is going on there. Again, this is a view from the pedestrian bridge. We're seeing some activity coming off the entrance ramp onto northbound I-25 from Bijou. But not sure what's going on there, but at least the main thing here is that you can see traffic is still looking very slow, and that is caused by those backups, or by the crash that happened on northbound I-25 between Woodman and North Academy. So that's way up I-25 in Colorado Springs. So we still have a good, I would say 7 or 8 miles where the traffic is slowed down because of that crash that happened up there. We've seen some pretty big delays out there too. All right, so Okay, update from CSPD, northbound I-25. That crash south of Woodman has been removed. Yeah, okay, we looked at that earlier. So that's not really an update, at least for us. We had the camera on that earlier. So it looks like just north of Woodman, between Woodman and North Academy is still an issue. All right, I'm going to have to hop off here real quick as we have another cut-in coming up on 11 News at 8:25. You can tune into that if you want to. We'll have more updates on the weather for the rest of today. And of course, a closer look at traffic. As again, traffic is severely impacted by icy conditions in northern Colorado Springs. Basically anywhere north of Garden of the Gods, Austin Bluffs and Barnes, on any road, main roads, side roads, any of them are impacted by some very icy conditions. We've seen many crashes on Powers. Dublin appears to be a bit of a mess too. Woodman, one on Mark Sheffel, another one on Dublin, but that's further east. It's even east of Mark Sheffel. Is that still Dublin? That's Woodman, excuse me. So yeah, many crashes out there because of the icy conditions. Please use extreme caution if you're going to be out on the roads, especially in northern Colorado Springs. Yeah, so we'll keep these live stream up a little bit because of all the big delays we're seeing out there. We'll hop back on here around 8:30 to give you updates on what things are looking at out there on the roads. But this is a view from I-25 at that crash that happened about an hour and a half ago. Between Woodman and North Academy, because there's some very big backups all the way down towards around Highway 24. So very big delays, about an extra 15 to 20 minutes drive time from downtown Colorado Springs up towards around North Academy, where this crash happened. And as I mentioned, also Powers in both directions looking very slow. Pretty much between North Carefree and Research. Again, in both directions, multiple crashes. We have lots of bridges out there. Most of those bridges are looking very icy still out there this morning. So again, I'm going to hop off real quick. I should be back in a couple of minutes. You're looking at I-25 between Woodman and North Academy. A crash happened there almost 2 hours ago now. Looks like the through lanes are back open, but the traffic is still backed up. The entrance and exit ramp, say between Woodman and North Academy, sort of both at that point, is still blocked off by police. We still see a semi-truck up there. At least one vehicle in front of that squad car that I think is in the barrier, but I can't confirm it. There's another one next to that too. So there's still some delays out there because of all the issues that happened following this crash. We know roads are very, very icy in northern Colorado Springs after we had snow falling overnight that initially melted and then refroze as temperatures slipped below freezing, and we still have temperatures near or even below freezing. The sunshine, though, that's really going to help us out, but I think we still need another 15 to 30 minutes for that to have a real effect on the roads, and we still see many crashes out there on basically any road north of, say, Garden of the Gods, Austin Bluffs, and Barnes. That is our main area of concern points north of those roads that I just mentioned. We're seeing many crashes and delays on any areas up there, I-25, but also Union, Voyager, Briargate, Northgate, Research, Powers, Mark Sheffield, Dublin, many crashes on Dublin, especially east of Powers. So all of those roads are severely impacted by these icy conditions, and especially seeing some of that going on still over on bridges and overpasses. We know those ice up first, and they will also take the longest to kind of melt again, and I think we're still seeing some of those effects. As you can see here, there is a bridge right there just before that crash. Not entirely sure, I can confirm if there was a factor in this crash, but certainly it's a possibility. As we know, those bridges and overpasses tend to be icy in these kind of conditions, and I think we're seeing some of that this morning as well. As I mentioned, Powers looking very messy as well between North Carefree and Research. Many bridges and overpasses in that area, so probably some cars taking it very slow over some of those. Many crashes out there could be a concern as well. Because of those icy conditions, maybe some crashes as a result of that going on there too. Another more significant crash that we have in that same area, so northern Colorado Springs, is on eastbound Dublin, just west of Black Forest. The left and center lanes are closed, so there's some delays through there. Another crash, and I want to mention that too, it's not in this area, probably not related to any icy conditions, but that's on westbound Platte or Highway 24 near Peterson. That's causing delays back to around Mark Sheffield. So expect some delays there too if you're driving in from Falcon or Peyton, those areas. You're going to encounter some delays out there too. The big delay, of course, is northbound I-25 caused by this crash that you're looking at right now. Traffic basically backed up all the way to Highway 24 at this point from this crash. We've seen reports of a crash at I-25 and Fillmore, can confirm, but there is an area where traffic appears to be moving a little bit better between Fillmore and Garden of the Gods, and then it's slower again from Garden of the Gods all the way back to Nevada, what you're looking at right now, or Academy, I should say, of course. I always get those two mixed up, I don't know why. And then another slowdown from Fillmore back down to Highway 24. I think right now I would say it's going to take you an additional 10 to 15 minutes between South and North Academy, traveling in Colorado Springs on I-25. So there's a pretty significant delay. I would say the Academy Boulevard, Nevada Avenue looks a bit better traffic-wise, so that might be a good alternative route if you want to avoid the traffic delays on I-25. Might be worth it for sure, but also there, you know that the roads are not too icy in our southern areas in southern Colorado Springs, but they will get more and more icy the further north you go. So of course that is always a concern they're gonna have to watch out for. Couple reports of more crashes on Woodman now. I wonder, yeah, eastbound Woodman is looking very backed up. So that is basically where it transitions from Woodman to Rock Rimmon. So that's from I-25 all the way back down towards Delmonico, even further than that actually, looking more at Allegheny Drive. So that's how far things go, almost back to Vindicator. So things are looking much slower out there too. Probably also some traffic that is slowed down trying to get onto northbound I-25, but traffic is so slow out there that that's taking some extra time as well. So the bottom line here, it is very icy still in northern Colorado Springs. I will say starting to see some gradual improvements also on northbound I-25. Still some slower traffic, but it is starting to look a little bit better. The Powers corridor between Carefree and Research was looking basically like a parking lot over the last hour or two. That is starting to look a little bit better now as well. I would say especially the northbound lanes. Still some very slow southbound traffic. But overall, I think we are heading in the right direction. And as I mentioned, we have the sun out, so there is some significant melting going on, even with temperatures still below freezing, which I think they are in many spots. But things are starting to look a little bit better out there on the roads, for sure. So let's hope we can keep that up here over the next half hour or so with the sun out. Again, that should really do wonders to those road conditions, especially this time of the year. Even at this early hour in early April, the sun is easily strong enough to melt any of that ice that is present on our roads here. Still looking at Powers. Oh man, there's so many crashes around the northern Powers corridor, some of those adjacent roads. Mark Sheffel, especially Dublin, many crashes out there. Woodman as well, just off of Powers. And another one further west. That's Woodman, I think westbound Woodman. That's just west of Lexington as you're approaching Union. So many crashes out there still. But we are starting to see some improvements. As I mentioned, the road conditions are gradually getting better as the sun is out. We still have some pretty big delays. I would say northbound I-25 starting to look better for sure. Still seeing some issues with this crash between Woodman and North Academy. I would say traffic mostly back down towards Garden of the Gods. After that, it is a bit slower, but not significant, down towards Highway 24. So still probably about a 5 to 10 minute delay on northbound I-25 between downtown and, say, North Academy. But things are looking better. Southbound is still a bit slower around the same area too. You can see that on the left of your screen. That traffic is not moving too fast either. And that is backed up all the way over towards Briargate Boulevard, or it's Briargate Parkway, I should say. It's a little bit further north. But it's a little bit slow out there still, but I am starting to see some improvements out on the road. So that is some of the good news. So we are getting into a better place right now in northern Colorado Springs after a very icy start this morning. Things really started to turn south as we went overnight and the snow started falling. It became a little bit heavier as I was driving in this morning. I think around 2:30 a.m. That's when the snow really started to pick up. It accumulated pretty quickly as well, and immediately the roads turned icy. Some of that snow melted and then it refroze. Temperatures were below freezing. I think my car said it was like 26 or 27 degrees in northern Colorado Springs at that time. And of course, it's not helping, creating those icy conditions out on the roads. And as soon as traffic picked up, it looked like the roads were starting to look a little bit better. But especially those bridges and overpasses were still very icy, and they it seemed like caused some accidents this morning, and that is causing some big slowdowns. And it also looks like some of those side roads especially are still looking very icy. But as I mentioned, we are heading in the right direction. The sun is helping us out here. The road conditions are improving. Even though we still have lots of crashes out there. I can't even mention all of them because it's probably going to take a little bit too long. Just coming in, another crash on Union and Vickers. That's in the northeastern Colorado Springs. So still many issues out there on the roads because of the ice. But considering how bad things were about half an hour to an hour ago, I would certainly say we are heading in the right direction. But still seeing some slowdowns. I will mention them one more time, and I think we're going to wrap this stream up. Northbound I-25, especially between North Academy and the Garden of the Gods. That's the main area of concern right now with some slower traffic, and then also slightly slower, some minor delays from Garden of the Gods back down towards Highway 24. Powers looking very slow but also improving between Carefree and Research in both directions. We've seen many crashes in that area, so northeastern Colorado Springs. But also there, things are starting to look at least a little bit better now. So also there we are heading in the right direction for sure. Again, the sun is out. That's really going to do wonders to those road conditions, melting away some of that ice. But still, those bridges and overpasses, on-ramps, off-ramps, all that kind of stuff, those are still the areas to watch, at least for the next, I would say, half hour. I think after 9 o'clock, things will really start to look much better in terms of those icy conditions. But at least for now, just keep a very close eye on the road conditions. Also, if you're traveling in from southern Colorado Springs and you think like, oh, roads are looking pretty good down here, well, they are certainly worse up north. So be prepared for quickly changing road conditions for sure. For the rest of, well, at least for the rest of this hour, I would say. As I mentioned, I think after 9 o'clock, things will start to look better, and especially north of a line through Garden of the Gods, Austin Bluffs, and Barnes. That's where the biggest issues have been all morning, and also still seeing that right now on the traffic map, and also looking at some of those crashes that we still have out there. All right, so with that, I think we're going to wrap things up here. We're getting towards the tail end of the morning commute. Things are starting to look a little bit better, but as I mentioned, it is still busy. Northbound I-25 backed up from North Academy down towards Garden of the Gods. Southbound I-25 from around Woodman to Briargate Parkway. And Powers is looking very slow, or at least very busy, I would say, in both directions between North Carefree and Research, with lots of crashes along the Power Boulevard and some of the adjacent roads, Stetson Hills, Mark Sheffel, Dublin, Woodman, and a new one on Stetson Hills just east of Austin Bluffs. So yeah, many things going on out there in terms of crashes. I think many of those are ice related, and especially near bridges and overpasses, as I mentioned, at least for the next 20 to 30 minutes. Please be careful with any bridges or overpasses. They might still be icy, but we are heading in the right direction. All right, I'm meteorologist Kevin Bloemberg. I'm going to sign off here. I'm going to end the stream. Thank you so much for joining in and sending in your reports. Really appreciate that. So we can keep you all informed on those road conditions around Colorado Springs early this morning. As I mentioned, at least it looks like things are heading in the right direction. Please be careful, and also keep in mind we have some high fire danger later this morning and into the afternoon. And we're also watching snow chances into our day on Thursday. Have a great day.